Penacony's release comes with it not just a large group of new characters to pal around with, but multiple storylines and plots as well. Each person and faction all have their own motives and goals, but the endgame is not really clear to us at this point. While it's still a bit early in patch 2.0 to really be making theories and guesses, that's not really going to stop me. So in this video, I'm going to make some speculations as to what each faction's ultimate goals are and what they might be doing in 2.1 and beyond. Before we get into that, if you want to see more Honkai Star Rail content, do consider subscribing to the channel. Now as usual, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, I need to warn you that if you haven't played the main story yet, I will be spoiling a whole bunch of things here. So if you don't want to learn who appears and what they're doing, then probably play the main story first and you can always come back here later. Also, as I've mentioned, these are speculations. I obviously don't know what exactly will happen in 2.1 and beyond, so I hope you go into this understanding that it's more for fun rather than taking it too seriously. Finally, because there are so many groups, I'll really only be covering two in this video, the IPC and the Stellaron Hunters, and the rest I'll cover in separate other videos. Let's start off with the IPC, who is currently represented by Adventurine. In the story itself, it hasn't been revealed what the IPC are doing on Penacony. Much like the other factions, they are invited presumably to take part in the festivities. If Adventurine's sneaky behavior didn't tip you off, they obviously have some ulterior motive. I believe that there are two separate goals that is being pursued here. The first is related to what the IPC wants, and the other is what Adventurine himself wants. I think they are separate for reasons I'll get into just a bit, but as for what the IPC wants, we can probably make a guess based on Adventurine's position in the IPC and Penacony's history. In the past, Penacony was a frontier prison established by the IPC. Prisoners were sent here to act as laborers, working to mend a leak through which memoria seeped into the universe. As they worked here, the exposure to memoria caused them to begin sharing one unified dreamscape, and eventually all of them wished to be free. At some point after this, an outbreak of the Fragmentum occurred due to an appearance of a Stellaron, and the IPC would lose control over the planet as the prisoners eventually wrested control over it amidst the chaos. Even under new management, however, because of the Stellaron, the planet continued to be a chaotic place until the family descended and made Penacony into what it is today. Now, there's more to this story, but the gist of it is that Penacony once belonged to the IPC, which they eventually lost to the prisoners, who then lost it to the family. As part of the strategic investment department, Adventurine focuses on major businesses and investment deals the IPC can pursue. They essentially find potential business opportunities the IPC can diversify into, all in the pursuit of more profits. What's interesting is that Adventurine leads the non-performing asset liquidation team. For those of you who aren't business savvy, what that essentially means is that for businesses that do not perform as intended, Adventurine will be sent to sell off any assets the business still owns to make back as much money as they can, so that they may cover their investment costs. Now, this implies that at some point after the family gaining control of the planet, the IPC perhaps invested into the development of Penacony by supporting the family, and this is the investment they likely wish to recoup. However, there is also the possibility that the IPC still considers the planet as theirs, and with all the stuff going on, they have now returned to get it back. In either case, I think that whatever the family has been hiding up till this point is about to be revealed to the greater universe by the end of Penacony's story. Once this happens, the holiday destination Penacony has been marketed as might be less attractive, and thus why the IPC are there to ensure they get back their investment, if this were to ever happen. Now, as for Adventurine, the reason why I think he has some other motivation outside his responsibility to the IPC is due to the exchange he has with the masked fool Sparkle. Sparkle suspects that Adventurine is from Sigonia, and Adventurine further adds that he is in fact an Afghan. We don't really know what that means, but she goes on to say that the Sigonians are a notorious group known for being liars, thieves, and social manipulators. But why is this important? I mean, if Adventurine was only here as a representative of the IPC, it wouldn't really matter where he came from or what his reputation is. Of course, she could just be bringing this up to show how fearsome he is at his job, given his background, but I think there's a possibility that maybe Adventurine has some relation to the prisoners who once ran the planet. Perhaps some of them were Sigonians like him. Maybe he knows them personally. He might have some other objective in mind, perhaps to find and free them, and the IPC is just one giant smokescreen. The shadow of the largest corporation in the entire universe is probably a good hiding place, as everyone just assumes he's there doing things for the benefit of the IPC alone. That said, Sparkle also mentions that Adventurine might have come to some agreement with the family that hints of the IPC not harming Penacony. This makes me think that the IPC are adamant in getting their investment back, either by liquidating whatever asset Penacony has or forcibly taking back the planet from the family. So I'm inclined to believe that Adventurine is working both fronts here to achieve what the IPC wants and to get whatever it is he wants. He seems like the type of person who adamantly believes that he just can't lose and likely thinks achieving both goals isn't beyond his abilities. Plus, we also have to remember that Topaz is also likely helping him, given Adventurine requested for her assistance at the end of the 1.5 Bella Box storyline, and why two goals can be pursued at the same time. So my guess is that the IPC either wants the planet back or something of similar value to recoup their losses, while Adventurine is likely interested in the prisoners of the past, perhaps some of which belong to the same group as he does. By the end of Penacony's story, if Adventurine gets his way, he will have turned the family's fiasco into profit for the IPC and gained information towards his own personal goals, likely related to the prisoners. It's not a very interesting outcome, but that's the guess I'll be making for now in terms of the IPC. The second faction I'll speak about in this video are the Stellaron Hunters. Now, because we've dealt with the Stellaron Hunters in the past, it's pretty easy to come up with ideas on why they have appeared in Penacony. Everything they've done have always been related to Elio's script. Each of their actions are steps taken to ensure the script develops in the way that they want. The group are kinda playing a meta game to set things up before they can actually take center stage. In the past, they've been known to steal Stellarons like the one on Herta space station. They've manipulated factions such as the Shano Alliance so that they are favorable to the main character and the Nameless. And in trailers, we've seen them topple groups such as the Japella Brotherhood, who are part of the Annihilation Gang. While this might seem like a series of random activities and are disconnected, they all relate back to Elio's script. During their interrogation, Kafka reveals that one key event to happen in the future is that Nanook, the Eon of Destruction, might actually achieve its goal in destroying the universe. To prevent this and get the future they want, they are setting up the main character as the person who will oppose Nanook. The Stellaron stolen from Herta was inserted in the main character. The Shano Alliance ended up allying with the main character and the Nameless. And even the Japella Brotherhood, who follow Nanook, have now been removed from power, reducing Nanook's power overall. Everything they do is for the benefit of the script. Now there's a couple of ideas that come to mind as to their appearance in Penacony. The first is that they're here to retrieve the Stellaron. As I mentioned earlier, Penacony used to be affected by a Stellaron, though we've not seen or heard of it as it's been reported that the family has taken care of it. That said, I do think the Stellaron is still in play, and that it might even be what is behind the dreamscape and how it functions. Perhaps it's used as an energy source, or maybe it's used in some other way. Regardless, I still think the Stellaron will come into play, and when it does, the Hunters may likely be scheming to obtain it. Alternatively, they might be trying to do what they did on the Xianzhou Luofu, but with the family. Perhaps they are again trying to prop the main character up as the hero so that the family is indebted to them, gaining them more allies. However, given the family appears as this really tight-knit group and perhaps even have some ulterior motives, I kinda think that instead of gaining their allegiance, perhaps the Stellaron Hunters are trying to prevent the main character from being too involved with them. Perhaps they know of Penacony Secret, a secret so devastating that they can't risk the main character getting too involved with the family and Penacony in general, due to the danger involved here. The main character is sort of the linchpin of the Stellaron Hunters' plan to deal with Nanook, and if they are killed, everything the Hunters worked for up to this point might go up in smoke. It's not really surprising that they might know the secret the family is trying to hide or how Penacony might turn out given Elio's future seeing abilities. There's also the possibility that Shippei and the family might get in the Hunters' way somewhere down the line, and allowing them to destroy themselves once the secret is revealed is exactly what the Hunters want. So while we know of their actions in the past, and any of those could apply here, since we don't know the entirety of Elio's script, there's a possibility that the Hunters are here to unearth the secret the family and Penacony has in order to accelerate their demise. Ultimately, by the end of Penacony, the Hunters will likely try to get the Stellaron and strengthen their position for the final fight, by either ensuring the family is indebted to the main character or remove them completely from the chessboard. They will be one step closer to achieving Elio's script, and right now, I can only imagine that it either involves the main character becoming stronger in some way or gaining new allies, or Nanook is weakened. That covers the two factions I wanted to talk about in this video. As I mentioned earlier, I'll talk about the rest in separate videos, and with Sparkle releasing soon, more of the Masked Fool's motivations and goals may be released alongside her. Again, most of this is speculation, so some element of it might turn out to be true as the story unfolds, or perhaps everything I just mentioned here just becomes wrong, so just keep that in mind. Let me know in the comments what you think. What are the IPC and Stellaron Hunters really doing in Penacony? If you enjoyed watching the video, do consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and as usual, have a nice day.